Before I begin, let me say thank you on behalf of my entire family for your gracious invitation. Thank you to Chuck Lewis for making all this possible for the vestry. And most of all, thank you to Father Richard. About 2 summers ago, as this great recession that we now are in the midst of began to surface, and it became clear to Clifford and me that the church we left here to start was going to be closed by the diocese. I found myself in deep despair. It all coincided when I was at Boy Scout camp with my son, and so they would go off doing their activities, and I would sit in the campsite in grief. And the Spirit had led me to call Father Richard, who I found out was on vacation. I still have the scrap of paper that the message came in on, where Father Richard said, "Derek, we need not wait till I return to the office. I do not consider contact with you a breach of vacation. I look forward to our time." And that day, as I poured out my soul in tears and my grief, I believe I gained a friend. You are indeed blessed to have such a priest in this place. And I am blessed to call him my friend and my brother. You see, the gospel today, I think, speaks a lot about what do you do when you find your life in a mess. The world has all sorts of strategies for messes. The first one is cling to the past. If only we could go back to the way it was before, we would find some sort of security and foundation there. And so we are tempted to wish things were the way they used to be, that we lived where we used to live, or we had the job that we used to have, or that life would somehow go back to what was familiar and comfortable. But going back is just a ghost, a shadow. It isn't real. Its memory is not designed for us to cling on to, but to gain strength from. To remember not what we had, but to claim what God, through Jesus Christ, gifted us with at one time and in one place. It isn't a place to retreat to. It's a foundation that God gives us to build upon. We could also launch into despair. There is no hope. There is no future. There is no possibility. The best days have been in our past, and I'm swept up in a sea of circumstances beyond my control, and there's nothing I can do about it. And that's not gospel living either. The disciples said, "Lord, increase our faith." Jesus had just told them all sorts of things that stretched them beyond their wildest capacity to comprehend and understand, much less even live. They said, "Lord, if you're going to ask us to do this, you're going to have to give us some strength, because we have absolutely no idea how to live this life you are asking us to live." It was a cry for strength. for looking forward toward a future, toward a calling that Jesus was propelling them to, out of fishing nets and fishing boats, into changing the world. Think about it for a moment. They were either simple fishermen or a corrupt tax collector. They had absolutely no job skills or vocation for what they were about to be asked to do. They only had the one necessary requisite: to trust. For if we look at the word faith from a biblical point of view, it has more to do not with something that I hold in my head, but the way I live my life in my heart. What Jesus was answering for their cry of help was teaching them not what to know, but how to trust and follow. They would go through some of the darkest moments that any human being would ever have to go through. Their whole world would be turned completely upside down as the one they thought was Lord and the Savior and Messiah was arrested and crucified. Increase our faith. Help us to know how to deal with this future, Lord. What is this future, Lord? How am I going to live this future, Lord? Where am I going to turn for this future, Lord?